Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring the latest and greatest in AI advancements, all the stuff that has everyone buzzing.
It's a fast-moving field, that's for sure.
It really is. Even for folks like us who follow it pretty closely, it's tough to keep up with all the new development.
Absolutely.
So, to guide us on this deep dive, we've got a document called Texto Pagado. And let me tell you, it is jam-packed with new models, research breakthroughs, and even some cool tools.
It's quite a treasure trove of information.
It is, so buckle up because we're going to cover a lot of ground today. Let's start with some of the major model releases and improvements that have been making headlines.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so one that's been causing quite a stir is DeepSeek's Native Sparse Attention, or NSA as they call it. Now, I gotta admit, when I first heard about this, I thought, okay, what's so special about sparse attention? Is that like when I'm trying to focus on work but keep getting distracted by, everything?
Uh-huh. Well, not quite. In the world of AI, attention is all about how a model focuses on the most important parts of the data it's processing.
Okay, that makes sense.
And sparse attention is like a more efficient way of doing that. It's like finding a shortcut that gets you the same destination, but using less fuel, so to speak.
Oh, I see. So it's all about making these AI models more efficient.
Exactly. And that's a big deal because training these massive AI models usually requires tons of computing power, which
Yeah.
can be super expensive and time-consuming.
Yeah, that makes sense. So DeepSeek's NSA is like a game changer in terms of making AI more accessible.
It has the potential to be, yeah. Then there's Perplexity AI's R1 1776, which has been making waves because they're marketing it as uncensored, unbiased, and factual.
Now, that's a bold statement in a world where AI models are often criticized for being, biased or restricted in what they can say.
It is, and it's definitely sparked a lot of debate. They've even released it in multiple quantization formats, making it easier to run on different types of hardware.
So more accessibility for developers and researchers.
Exactly. And speaking of models that do it all, there's Google DeepMind's PalaGemma 2 mix.
Okay, I've heard a little bit about this one. What's so special about it?
Well, it's like the Swiss Army knife of AI models. It can do visual reasoning, outfit judging, object counting, OCR, and even image segmentation.
Hold on, outfit judging. Like, this AI can tell me if my socks clash with my sandals.
Potentially. But think bigger. Imagine using it to create an app that helps people put together outfits based on their existing wardrobe, or for visually impaired individuals, it could analyze clothing and provide audio descriptions.
Okay, now that's pretty cool. I could definitely use that.
The applications are vast.
I know.
Then we have Microsoft Muse, which has been trained on game assets from a video game called Bleeding Edge.
Oh, interesting. So this one is all about gaming.
Well, it has huge implications for game development. Imagine game developers using AI to create realistic environments and characters much faster than they can now. Muse could revolutionize the industry.
So instead of spending months painstakingly crafting every detail by hand, developers could use Muse to generate vast landscapes or populate their worlds with unique characters.
Exactly. And to make things even better, they've made the model weights and code publicly available.
That's huge. It means the entire community can benefit from their work and build upon it.
It does. Lastly, we have Baichuan M1, which is a medical language model, or LLM for short, trained on a massive data set of text and code.
Okay, so an LLM is basically an AI that's really good at understanding and generating language.
You got it. And Baichuan M1 is specifically focused on medical knowledge. It's been trained on a whopping 20 trillion tokens, which is like feeding it an entire medical library multiple times over.
Wow, that's a lot of data, even for an AI. But what's a practical application here? How does this actually help people?
Well, it's open source, which means anyone can use it. And its focus on medical question answering means it has the potential to democratize access to medical knowledge.
I see. So it could be a valuable tool for patients who want to learn more about their health conditions or for doctors who need to quickly access information.
Exactly. It's like having a team of medical experts at your fingertips.
That's pretty amazing. All right, so we've covered some of the most exciting new models and improvements, but there's a lot more to explore in the world of AI advancements. Let's dive into the research front, shall we? I'm ready to have my mind blown.
Let's do it. Buckle up.
So one of the papers that really caught my eye is Hugging Face's Ultrascale Playbook.
Ah, yes. This one's getting a lot of attention. It's basically a guide for training those massive language models on those giant GPU clusters.
You know, those supercomputers that can crunch numbers faster than you can say artificial intelligence?
Exactly. And this playbook is important because it lays out the best practices for getting the most out of those powerful GPU clusters, ensuring that these models are trained efficiently and effectively.
So it's like a recipe book for AI researchers who want to unlock the full potential of these supercomputers.
That's a great way to put it. And then we have Microsoft's Magma paper, which focuses on something called multimodal foundation models.
Multimodal, huh? So we're talking about AI systems that can handle more than just text, right? Like images or even sounds.
Precisely. These models can handle different types of input, and Magma is actually trained on these unique data sets called set of mark and trace of mark, which teach it how to understand and interact with user interfaces and manipulate objects.
So we're talking about AI that can not only answer your questions, but also control your smart home devices or even help you assemble furniture.
You got it. The future's looking pretty wild, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, what else is out there that's pushing the boundaries of what AI can do?
Well, there's this paper called Cramming 1568 Tokens into a Single Vector. Basically, they're exploring just how much information we can cram into a single AI representation.
So it's like trying to squeeze an entire library into a single memory card.
Exactly. And the more information we can pack into these representations, the more powerful and efficient our AI systems will become.
It's like giving AI a supercharged brain. What else?
Oh, there's also ByteDance's Phantom paper, which focuses on generating videos that are consistent with a specific subject, even if the scenes change. They're using something called cross-modal alignment, where they're getting different types of data, like text and video, to work together.
So you could give this AI a story, and it could create a whole movie based on that story, making sure the visuals always match the narrative.
Pretty much. And there are even more groundbreaking papers out there. One's on test time scaling of O1-like models, another called Sailor 2 that focuses on multilingual LLMs, one on learning to reason at the frontier of learnability, and another questioning whether noise conditioning is necessary for denoising generative models.
Wow, that's a lot to digest. It sounds like the research community is really firing on all cylinders. But what about the practical applications? Are there any tools or libraries that are making it easier to build and deploy all these incredible AI advancements?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of innovation happening on that front as well. We'll dive into those right after the break.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back.
Don't go anywhere. All right, so we're back and ready to dive into some of the tools and libraries that are making it easier to build and deploy all those incredible AI advancements we talked about.
Yeah, because let's be real, as amazing as all those models and research papers are, they're not much use if we can't actually put them into practice, right?
Exactly. So let's start with LangChain, which has been getting a lot of buzz lately. It's all about simplifying the process of developing and deploying AI applications.
I've heard good things about LangChain. What's so special about it?
Well, they released a bunch of new features, like the LangGraph Studio Playground, which lets you experiment with AI prompts in real time and see how the AI responds. It's like a digital sandbox for AI development.
Oh, that sounds cool. So you can just play around with different prompts and see what the AI comes up with.
Exactly. It's a great way to get a feel for how these models work and explore the possibilities.
I can see how that would be super useful, especially for people who are just getting started with AI development.
It is. And then they've got these things called MCP adapters, which allow you to connect AI agents to hundreds of different tools and services.
Wait, so instead of being limited to a specific platform or data set, these agents can now reach out and interact with all sorts of external resources.
Yep. Imagine an AI agent that can access your calendar, your email, your social media, and even your favorite online shopping sites, all seamlessly integrated with LangChain's core functionality.
Okay, now we're talking. That's next level automation right there.
It is. And to make things even easier for developers, they've also introduced NPM Create LangGraph, which makes setting up a LangChain JS agent a breeze.
So they're really trying to lower the barriers to entry and make AI development more accessible.
They are, and that's great to see. Speaking of accessible AI development tools, have you checked out Modular's Mojo?
I've heard the name, but I haven't had a chance to dive in yet. What's the deal with Mojo?
Well, it's focused on high-performance AI and seamless integration with Python, which is a huge plus for many developers.
Right. Python's like the go-to language for AI and data science these days.
It is. And their latest release, MX 25.1, has a ton of cool new features, including something called agentic workflows.
Agentic workflows. That sounds intriguing. What are those all about?
Basically, they make it easier to build AI systems that can act autonomously and make decisions on their own.
So we're talking about AI that can actually take actions without human intervention. That's both exciting and a little bit scary, to be honest.
Haha, yeah, it's definitely a powerful concept, but it also has the potential to be incredibly useful for tasks that are, repetitive or dangerous or require superhuman speed and accuracy.
I can see that. So agentic workflows are all about automating those complex processes and decision-making tasks.
You got it. And that's just one of the many new features in Mojo Max 25.1. They've also added support for GPU custom operations, giving developers more control over how their code runs on the hardware.
That's great for developers who really want to fine-tune their AI systems for optimal performance.
Absolutely. And they've included a bunch of new developer resources like documentation, tutorials, and example projects to help people get up to speed quickly.
Sounds like they're really building a solid foundation for Mojo's success.
They are. And speaking of foundations, Together is doing something really cool with their GPU clusters. They're offering free access to select AI teams through their NVIDIA Blackwell test drive program.
Wow, free access to those powerful GPU clusters, that's huge.
It is. It's a game changer for smaller teams and researchers who might not have the budget for that kind of hardware. Now they can experiment with cutting-edge AI models and training techniques without breaking the bank.
I bet a lot of AI developers are jumping for joy at that opportunity.
I'm sure they are. And it's not just about the hardware. Together is also providing access to expert support and resources to help these teams make the most of their test drive.
That's fantastic. It's like they're giving them the keys to a Ferrari and then offering to teach them how to drive it like a pro.
Exactly. Okay, let's move on to another tool that's been generating some buzz.
Yeah.
LM Studio.
I've seen that name pop up a few times. What's their claim to fame?
They've developed this really clever feature called speculative decoding, which basically uses a smaller, faster draft model to predict what the larger model is going to say.
So it's like having a speed reader skim through a document and highlight the key points before you actually sit down to read it.
That's a great analogy. It significantly speeds up the inference process, which is super important for applications where speed is critical, like real-time language translation or chatbot interactions.
Right, because who wants to wait around for a chatbot to think for 5 minutes before it responds?
Exactly. And speaking of speed and efficiency, there's Llama Cloud EU, which is taking a compliance-oriented approach to AI development, making sure that all data stays within the European Union.
That's really important, especially with all the concerns about data privacy and security these days.
It is. And they're particularly focused on sensitive areas like healthcare, where patient data needs to be handled with the utmost care.
It's good to see companies prioritizing these issues and building AI solutions with ethical considerations in mind.
Definitely. And of course, we can't forget about other awesome tools like Gradio, which makes it super easy to build and share AI demos, and Kokoro TTS, which is pushing the boundaries of speech synthesis with its incredible speed and accuracy.
It's amazing to see how many talented developers and researchers are contributing to this vibrant AI ecosystem.
It really is. And the tools just keep getting better and more powerful. But, all these tools and libraries are ultimately means to an end. The real excitement comes when we start talking about the applications, particularly the world of AI agents.
Oh yeah, AI agents. That's where things get really interesting. Let's dive into that world and explore how they're changing the game and shaping the future we're all heading towards.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Okay, so we've talked about some game-changing models, dove deep into cutting-edge research, and explored the ever-expanding toolkit that AI developers have at their fingertips.
You've covered a lot of ground.
We have. But now it's time to tackle something equally important, maybe even more so. The ethical considerations surrounding all these incredible AI advancements.
You're absolutely right. It's not enough to simply marvel at the technological progress. We need to be thoughtful about the potential impact of AI on society and make sure we're using it responsibly.
So where do we even begin with something as complex as AI ethics? It feels like a minefield out there.
It can feel that way for sure. But I think a good starting point is to acknowledge that AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Right. It's all about how we choose to use it.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to have open and honest conversations about the potential risks and benefits of AI, to establish ethical guidelines, and to build systems that align with our values.
So what are some of the specific ethical challenges that we need to be grappling with right now?
Well, one of the big ones is the issue of bias. AI systems are trained on massive amounts of data. And if that data reflects existing biases in society, then the AI is likely to perpetuate those biases.
Right, like those facial recognition systems that were found to be less accurate at identifying people of color.
Exactly. That's a prime example of how bias can creep into AI systems and have real-world consequences. We need to be very careful about the data we use to train these models and make sure we're mitigating bias wherever possible.
Absolutely. And what about the whole debate around uncensored AI models like Perplexity AI's R1 1776? There's a lot of excitement about the potential for unfettered AI, but it also raises some serious
It
concerns.
does. On the one hand, you have people who believe that AI should be free to express itself without limitations, that censorship stifles creativity and innovation.
And on the other hand, you have those who worry that uncensored AI could be used to spread misinformation, hate speech, or even incite violence.
Precisely. It's a complex issue with no easy answers. We need to find a way to balance the potential benefits of uncensored AI with the need to protect society from harm.
It's a tough needle to thread, that's for sure. Another area where ethics is front and center is in the development of AI for healthcare.
Absolutely. AI has the potential to revolutionize healthcare in countless ways, from diagnosing diseases to developing new treatments to personalizing patient care.
But there are also some serious risks involved, right?
Right. We need to be extremely careful about patient privacy and data security. And we need to ensure that these AI systems are making accurate diagnoses and recommending safe and effective treatments.
And again, there's the issue of bias. We need to make sure that these AI systems aren't discriminating against certain groups of patients.
Exactly. It's a high-stakes game,
Hmm.
and we need to proceed with caution and a deep understanding of the ethical implications.
So it sounds like there's a real need for collaboration between AI experts, healthcare professionals, ethicists, and policymakers to ensure that AI is used responsibly in this field.
I couldn't agree more. We need to bring all these different perspectives to the table to develop ethical frameworks, regulatory guidelines, and best practices for the development and deployment of AI in healthcare.
It's a big challenge, but it's one that we need to tackle head on if we want to reap the benefits of AI without falling prey to its potential downsides.
Absolutely. And it's not just about healthcare. It's about every area where AI is being applied. We need to be thinking ethically about AI in education, in finance, in transportation, in criminal justice, in every aspect of our lives.
It's a call to action for all of us, really. We can't just sit back and assume that AI will automatically be used for good. We need to be actively involved in shaping its development and ensuring that it serves humanity, not the other way around.
Well said. We need to be asking tough questions, challenging assumptions, and pushing for transparency and accountability.
And we need to be having these conversations now before AI becomes so deeply embedded in our lives that it's too late to course correct.
I agree. The future of AI is not predetermined. It's a future that we're creating together. And it's up to all of us to ensure that it's a future where AI is used to empower people, not exploit them, to create a more just and equitable world, not exacerbate existing inequalities.
That's a powerful message, and I think it's a fitting note to end our deep dive on. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the world of AI advancements. We hope you found it informative, thought-provoking, and maybe even a little bit inspiring.
It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you.
And remember, the future of AI is in our hands. Let's make it a future we can all be proud of.